These friendship lessons will totally change the way you build connections in your 20s. Have you ever felt like you have outgrown your friends? Like totally felt the connection's not there anymore? You guys don't click as you used to? Is that you? If that is you, then let me reassure you, my darling, you're completely normal because friendships evolve. Especially in your 20s, you're still finding yourself, discovering who you are. So you have likes and dislikes that are constantly fluctuating, and that includes friendship. Luckily for you, I will be sharing some of my lessons learned in my 20s that you definitely need to know about friends. Look, it's true that as individuals, our life paths and experiences are different, but let me tell you, there are some common challenges that every single person has experienced in their 20s. For example, people move to different cities and that makes communication difficult. Your career evolves into something else, which then moves you away from your friend because you guys no longer click from a value system perspective. You change life paths, and as a result, the connection isn't there anymore. So it's common. And those are some of the things that you need to know just off the cuff. So let's get into my top 5 lessons learned in my 20s. Lesson number 1, it's a friendship. Both of us need to be committed to it and putting in their effort to make the friendship work. Both of us need to want to be friends, first of all. You know what I mean? If one of us wants the friendship more than the other, you're pouring more than the other person is. So inevitably it's going to die out because there's so much more effort that you're putting in than the other person is. They'll probably ditch you every last minute that they get. Should someone else that comes into mind or into their life come up with a plan that they prioritize, someone else that they value a lot more than you do. So in order for the friendship to really, really work, you've got to put in effort on both ends. So make time for the friendship. Go out and do stuff like activities. If you guys like hiking together, go and hike. Go and study together. Just share moments and converse where conversation is critical. Talk about it. One of the key things that I look for in compatibility when it comes to friendship is our ability to converse. You don't have to be a certain personality type. You don't have to be an extrovert. For example, most of my friends are introverted, but I like that because I like people who listen, and they also like it because they love listening to stories and feeling as though they are needed. So you can't invest time in a friendship that's one-sided. No, that's a waste of your time. I've had instances with friends, especially in my 20s, where I felt like, okay, I'm over compromising myself. And look, I'm an empath, so naturally that's what we do. But you've got to understand that, especially in your 20s, don't be overinvested. Usually, a lot of your friends fall away anyways. The ones that put in as much effort as you do, prioritize those ones. Let the others be. The second thing that I would advise you is to know in your 20s is that some people, no matter how cool you think they are, just simply aren't meant to be your friend. Like, it doesn't matter how much you guys want to be friends. If it's not meant to be, it's just not meant to be a friendship. And there's simple things that you will identify about that friendship that just won't work. Like, life will get in the way of it. God will be like, I refuse for this friendship to work. Because your life paths are just not in the same direction. And there's usually no animosity with stuff like that. And there's usually quite a bit of love. It's just, life just doesn't agree. I've had quite a few instances with some really cool people that I'm like, oh, they're great. I'd love to be their friend, and vice versa. But life just didn't happen like that. It's either we were too busy, there's something that happens, and that's okay. So learn to understand that some people are just not meant to be your friends. And in the same breath, some people are just meant to come in and teach you a lesson, good or bad, about friendship. And that's on that, right? And that's okay. Another really important lesson learned in my 20s about friends is that it's important to understand that you are friends with an individual, not their friends. So I think people in their 20s tend to blur that quite a bit. And look, it's human nature for all of us to want to hold hands and sing kumbaya and get along with Namhlad's friends and vice versa, but it often doesn't work like that. The reason that person is the way that they are and they have those friends is because each and every one of them adds a certain value to them and they prioritize things differently. And that's why they're friends. Now, you don't have to come along and be friends with their friends because chances are they're not like the person you're friends with. So I would honestly say understand that you are friends with the individual, not the clique. Okay? It would be nice if you guys got along, but understand that you, even if you do get along, you guys are not friends. You're not friends. You're friends with the one person. And ideally, I would advise that you to keep your individuality so that you are true to self. Because the whole point of friendship is to add value, right? That includes constructive criticism and being free to be who you are and the other person be free to be who they are and add value. But if you're not trying to fit in with the entire community, then you're compromising self. No, 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 no. We don't compromise self here. We don't do that. So be friends with them, but also identify people that you want to be friends with and live life because those are the people together that can add to your character and who you are and who you become eventually. Another lesson would be understand that your situation and another person's situation are quite different. So set boundaries with your friends very early on in the relationship so that they understand where you're sitting. Chances are in your 20s, you can hardly afford to go out to lavish restaurants and pay an extravagant bill. But some people can because they come from well off families or they're just fortunate enough to have moved up the corporate ladder faster than you have. But understand that if you don't make that clear and communicate that that is the situation and that certain things financially that you can't afford, nobody will know, first of all, that that's your situation unless you communicate it. And by communicating it, you can then see if this person understands or is able to meet you halfway. Yes, that could be financially, or just say, that's fine, let's go do something that's less expensive then. But if you're always overextending yourself, which goes back to the first lesson, overextending yourself, especially in terms of the pocket, you know how much I love money. In terms of the pocket, no. And somebody who has a good heart will be like, yeah, no, no, don't worry about it. It's on me. As long as it's not always on them. You know what I mean? And when it comes to your turn, you do what you can. You do within your means. Yeah. Because finances are a real thing with friendship. So I would advise that you communicate what you can and can't do from a financial and experience perspective with that person and they understand your financial situation. And if they don't like it, then they're not your friends. Those people are not people you should be befriending in your 20s. If they don't like you when you're trying to navigate your life and you're sitting in the bottom of the food chain for now, then you don't want them with you when you're up there as CEO in your 40s. You might be too young, especially in your early 20s, to really, really understand this because jealousy is a real thing. But you understand that you're not in competition with your friends. Your friends are an extension of who you are. So if your friend wins, you win, and vice versa. And that's the key ingredient for good friendships, that you celebrate your friends' success and they do the same for you. Don't be competing with your friends. I had a situation where by one of my friends had invited a couple of us, my boyfriend and I at the time, as well as other friends, and we had gone to party or something like that, and afterwards we went to her and her boyfriend's place. Out of sheer courtesy, I wake up and I clean in the morning because we had made a complete mess having a bra in the evening. And her boyfriend at the time woke up to be like, oh my gosh, Namsha. And it wasn't just me, okay? Yes, I initiated the cleaning act, but a lot of the people joined in. Oh my gosh, Namsha, and them cleaned or something like that. So well, come and see. Next thing, baby girl invites me to their bedroom to have a talk. Oh, Another thing I hate about friendships in your 20s, talk. So the talk was less so about trying to understand why I did what I did, and perhaps looking internally to think maybe I could be uh, overreacting, or giving me a chance to then also reflect, to be like, okay, maybe I overdid it and we shouldn't have. I don't know. But it felt more like a warning. But don't you try and be a Miss Goody Goody around my man, because now he's out here singing your praises and I don't like it. It's giving a you problem. So honestly, honest to God, just don't be that person. Just don't compete with your friends. You already have, in that example, I'm just like, you already have the man and I don't want him. So I don't understand why this was even a conversation. But anyways, don't compete with your friends, guys. Your friends are an extension of who you are. They are your chosen family. Treat them as such. Okay, this one may ruffle up a few feathers, and each to their own, but this is what I believe. I don't believe in classing your friends. I don't believe in this whole notion of this is my best friend. No, no. Remember, in your 20s, you're still in a period of self discovery. And even past that, like, I just don't believe in this whole best friend notion. All of your friends bring something of value into you. And just because someone has known you for 2 months versus somebody that has known you for 20 years doesn't make them less impactful in your life than the other person. So this whole notion of, oh, meet my best friend. No, everybody should be your best friend, all your friends. Okay, there's no favoritism in friendship. Everybody adds something to your life and vice versa. So I honestly, and this is a personal one, I really don't like the whole classing of friendships things. It diminishes and it devalues the meaning of the friendship for me, and it makes it so minuscule. And friends are so critical to us, and I don't believe we prioritize our friendships enough. And just on my previous point in terms of relationships, I would honestly say prioritize your friendships more than romantic relationships, because those are the relationships that remind you of who you are. We often get lost, in the dating life, and friends bring you back to say, this is who, remember who you are, and have a life outside of a relationship. And friendships encourage and enable you to do that. So have them, and but have quality friends. Have friends that bring out the best in you and not turn you into Cruella freaking Deville, because yeah, you can get those. This one is something that people always just, especially women, like, you guys, myself included, I've been through this, where your friends are your friends. They're not your boyfriends, or you're not in a relationship with them, rather. I can drop you as my friend, and I expect you to understand. Yes, I do. Obviously, I need to do that within certain boundaries and understanding, because you treat others as how you would like to be treated. So if I drop you for something, there's really a viable reason as to why, and I can't do it. I just can't. If you want to end the friendship on that basis, then yep, you're not drama. You're a drama person, drama king or queen. Okay. And I don't want to be friends with you, because yes, we said 8 o'clock. Yes, we said we were going to meet at 8 a.m., but life happens. So I can only be there at 9, or I can't make it, and I'll make it up to you. And being the kind of person that I am, I will make it up to you, or I at least need you to afford me the opportunity to try and make it up to you. Should I not do so and not pitch again, then by all means you can crucify me. You know what I mean? But some friends tend to blur that line quite a lot and have unrealistic expectations of certain of their friends, um, which would meet like the criteria of a partner. Now, first of all, we are not intimate like that. Secondly, we are not intimate like that. And thirdly, we are not intimate like that. So, no. Those are my lessons, guys, that I learned about friendship in my 20s. But essentially, for me, the turning point in how I started to really look at my friendships and understand the value that they bring was when you start to get that quality over quantity is what the key ingredients is to really good friendships. You want people that bring up the best in you. And often when you have too many of those, it's really hard to juggle. So by the time you get to your 30s, you understand that having 5 friends or 3 or 2 friends is more than enough, because those are people that you're investing your time, your energy, and they will be there for you through thick and thin, because that's what friendship is about, ride or die. And it doesn't matter whether a year or 2 or 10 years have passed. It doesn't matter. When you meet and you talk, and it's a celebration every time you link up. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be difficult. Just know who your people are and go where you're loved. And that brings us to the end of the video. Look, essentially, guys, cultivating really great friendships in your 20s is very critical to identifying self and knowing who you are and growing within self. So I really, really do hope that you found this video insightful. Please do engage with the content, especially this series, because it's meant for you. And I will link all my previous videos at the end of this video that you can watch as part of the series. Please do let me know about your friendship experiences. I'd love to hear your stories, and if you can relate with anything that I have just said, and also what you think, because people have different opinions. So I'd really love to hear your opinion. As usual, thank you so much for your support. I really, really do appreciate it. The channel is growing. I feel the love. I receive the love. We thank the good Lord for that. Until next time, goodbye.